Our top story. It's like a shockwave through the world of Indian wrestling. In fact, Indian sport. Olympic medalists are protesting on the streets of the national capital. World-class wrestlers are screaming for their voices to be heard. What happened today is unprecedented in the history of Indian sport. Around 30 wrestlers, all from Haryana, gathered at Jantar Mantar today. I'm talking about big names here, like Bajrang Punia, like Vinesh Fogart, Sakshi Malik as well. These people have won us medals at the Olympics and other world stages. By 4 p.m. in the evening, they had addressed a press conference. And what followed was one of the most shocking episodes in Indian sport history. The wrestlers accused Federation boss and BJP MP Brijbhushan Singh of harassing and mentally torturing wrestlers. Now, we will discuss these charges in great detail, but first, listen in to the major allegations that are being made by India's superstars.
तक चली गई थी। मैं हर दिन खुदकुशी करने की सोच रही थी और मैं आज भी बोल रही हूँ, अगर किसी भी खिलाड़ी को कुछ भी होगा रेसलिंग में तो प्रेसिडेंट, देश जो हमारे रेसलिंग प्रेसिडेंट है वो जिम्मेदार रहेंगे, हमारी फेडरेशन जिम्मेदार उस चीज की।
विनोद बारे में आपने पीएम को बताया था?
जी, मैंने सब बता रखा है। सर ने बात की थी, उन्होंने बोला था कि कुछ नहीं होगा और भगवान की दया से मैं ठीक हूँ, क्योंकि मेरे को तो यकीन भी नहीं था कि टोक्यो के बाद में वो बंदा मेरे को जिंदा रहने भी देगा कि नहीं रहने देगा। इतना टॉर्चर मेरे को मेंटली किया था। नेशनल कैंप्स में जो कोचेज होते हैं, सभी कोच नहीं हैं उसमें, लेकिन कुछ कोचेज हैं जो फेडरेशन के खास हैं, जो खुद शोषण करते हैं, महिला कोचों के साथ में गलत व्यवहार करते हैं। उसकी मैंने आवाज उठाई है इस बार, और उसके बावजूद भी वही चीफ कोच नेशनल कैंप में लगाए गए हैं। और वही कोचेज जो कैंप में लड़कियां होती हैं उनके साथ में बातचीत करवाते हैं लड़कियों की, शोषण करवाने के लिए ही। और अध्यक्ष जी ने खुद पता नहीं कितनी लड़कियों का शोषण किया है आज तक।
स्पॉन्सर, प्राइवेट जो स्पॉन्सर आते हैं वो सिर्फ फेडरेशन के थ्रू आएंगे हमारे पास। पहले हमारे पास डायरेक्ट आते थे खिलाड़ियों के पास, अब वो फेडरेशन को पहले फेडरेशन को खिलाएंगे, फेडरेशन खिलाड़ियों तक पहुंचाएगी। जब हमारे टाटा मोटर्स के नहीं आए तो वो कहां से दे देंगे? तो वो चीज़ें बहुत सारी, जो निचले खिलाड़ी वो बेचारे ये बोल रहे हैं कि हम कहाँ जाएँ। जो टॉर्चर चल रहा है खिलाड़ियों के ऊपर, उस हिसाब से मुझे नहीं लगता कि रेसलिंग में मेडल आ सकता है। तोमर जी खा रहे हैं या कोई और खा रहा है? कौन ऐसा मगरमच्छ बैठा है जो खिलाड़ियों के हक को सारे को खा रहा है? गवर्नमेंट हमें सपोर्ट कर रही है और ये अपने घर भर रहे हैं, खिलाड़ियों तक आ ही नहीं रहा है।
जब तक हमारा नहीं होगा जो हम चाहते हैं, हम यहाँ से नहीं।
मांग क्या है? मुख्य मांग क्या है?
मुख्य मांग यही है कि रेसलिंग फेडरेशन को हटाया जाए और नीचे तक के जो अधिकारी है सबको हटा के एक नई फेडरेशन का निर्माण होना चाहिए। कि जो नीचे से गंदगी शुरू हुई है या जो नीचे से ही खराब है, सब हट के एक फ्रेश स्टार्ट होनी चाहिए कि हमारे आने वाले जो रेसलर्स हैं उनका भविष्य खराब में ना जाए।
सरकार से बात के लिए कोई बात हो पाई है?
वो हम करेंगे बात, वो हम अपने पीएम सर से और गृह मंत्री सर से बात करेंगे, उनके आगे और हमारी खुल के बात रखेंगे। जो भी है, जो बातें बताई गई हैं, जो विनेश के थ्रू बताई गई है, वो 100% सच है। और कैसे हुआ, क्यों हुआ, किसके साथ हुआ, वो हम खुल के अपने
Ladies and gentlemen, the people you saw on your screens are India's Olympians. Now let me recount the charges on Brijbhushan Sharan and the Federation. Mental torture, physical assault, let me put that out for you, physical assault, sexual harassment, very clearly sexual harassment, death threats, mistreatment, favoritism, corruption. In fact, Vinesh is going on to say that she was at one point pushed to the brink of suicide as well. The wrestlers say that the WFI chief is running the federation like a dictatorship. The coaches go about molesting female wrestlers in camps. They are threatened and blackmailed by federation bosses. And they are asked not to speak out if they want to keep their jobs. Now, the wrestlers' demand is very clear. They say they will not compete in international events until Brijbhushan Sharan is removed as the federation boss. The athletes have also refused to meet Sports Minister Anurag Thakur. They say they will meet only the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, or someone deputed by them. On his part, Brijbhushan Sharan has denied all allegations. He says if any of them are proven, he should be hanged to death. Listen in.
सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट हुआ या नहीं हुआ?
हाँ। कतई नहीं हुआ, कतई नहीं हुआ। एक भी सामना कर दे तो मैं फांसी पर लटक जाऊंगा। सबसे बड़ा जो आरोप विनेश ने लगाया है, क्या सामने कोई है? मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि सामने कोई है कि जो कह दे कि फेडरेशन ने कभी किसी खिलाड़ी का शोषण किया हो? क्या सामने नहीं होना चाहिए कोई? सामने तो होना चाहिए, कोई तो होना चाहिए सामने कि सांसद जी ने, बृजभूषण सिंह जी ने, फेडरेशन के जो अध्यक्ष हैं, उन्होंने फला खिलाड़ी का शोषण किया है। सामने होना चाहिए, नहीं होना चाहिए।
So who exactly is this man on your screens? Brijbhushan Sharan. Well, like I said at the start, he is a BJP MP representing the Kesarganj seat in Uttar Pradesh. He was first elected to the Lok Sabha in 1991. He's always been with the BJP, except for a brief stint with the Samajwadi Party in 2009. So what exactly is Brijbhushan's credentials to head the Wrestling Federation? Well, he spent most of his youth in the akhadas of Ayodhya. Plus, he never shies away from a fight, either political or physical. The evidence, we'll just put that on your screens right now. Those are pictures of Brijbhushan Singh slapping a young wrestler on stage in 2021. Yes, that happened. Take a look at it. He has headed the Wrestling Federation now for more than 10 years. Many consider him to be a hands-on boss. You will see him at most national and state level competitions. But the question is, what is Brijbhushan like when the cameras go off? We are hearing that the wrestlers have disbanded for the day. They have promised to return and resume the protest at 10 a.m. tomorrow now. But the story is becoming political as well, because you've had Manohar Lal Khattar, the Chief Minister of Haryana, meet JP Nadda. Let me go straight across to my reporters who are on the ground right now. They are at the site of the protest at Jantar Mantar. Nivedana is joining us on the broadcast. Karishma is joining us on the broadcast as well. Both of them from Jantar Mantar. Karishma, I'm coming to you first. Have the wrestlers left the protest site, and what are they planning to do? Because so far, if I'm not mistaken, there is complete silence from the sports ministry on the biggest scandal that has hit Indian sport in a very, very long time.
Well, yes, absolutely, Shreya. The protest for today has ended by the wrestlers because there was no permission by the Delhi High Court orders, and the Delhi police officials has asked the wrestlers and the media persons also to go. You can see over here that they are wrapping up what they had brought with them to sit on. The gaddas are going, but they are going to be back tomorrow at 10 a.m., between 10 to 11 a.m. to be precise, with the same resolve, dedication and commitment that they want the WFI president to be removed. And what we reported earlier, was that they're not even willing to meet the sports minister. They are only going to meet either the Prime Minister or the Home Minister, in front of who they are willing to give the details of the girls who have been sexually assaulted, exploited by Brijbhushan Sharan. He, of course, has denied all these allegations, but Vinesh Fogart, again and again in every media bite that she spoke, said कि मैं झूठ नहीं बोल रही हूँ, बहुत courage के साथ हम आए हैं ये सब बोलने के लिए, is what Vinesh Fogart said. She even admitted that there was a point in her life where she was thinking of committing suicide because of the mental torture that she had to go through because of Brijbhushan Sharan. So all these wrestlers, Sakshi Malik, Vinesh Fogart, Bajrang Punia, today speaking on behalf of all wrestlers, very mature conversation when they said that we might play one more Olympic or at the max two. But what about the future generations? We do not want them to suffer the same way that we have. That is why we are going to sit on protest for change and demand that WFI president be removed.
Karishma, can I ask you this? I was a little curious about the fact that most of the wrestlers I saw on screen were wrestlers from Haryana. Now, I know that most of India's wrestlers do come from the state of Haryana. The question is that, you know, sexual harassment, corruption, etc., are not something that are hitting only Haryana's wrestlers. They are hitting wrestlers then across this country. You know, what explains that? What explains the fact that this has become about Haryana and not other states? .
Well, yes, absolutely, Shreya. When we talk about wrestling, we automatically think about Haryana because that is the hub of wrestling in India, and the major medalists, Olympic medalists, whether it's women or men, they have come from Haryana. And the reason why we saw only Olympians from Haryana speaking today at the press conference was because they are very aware of the face value that they have and how seriously they're going to be taken when they speak up. When Bajrang Punia, Vinesh Phogat or Sakshi Malik are going to say something, they're going to be taken very, very seriously. And they were admitting it, that they want to speak up for the junior wrestlers. They even named the junior national champion Anshu going through a mentally tough time because of Brijbhushan Sharan. So these wrestlers know what what credibility they have, and they are using it to voice their anger against the Wrestling Federation of India, against the president, Mr. Brijbhushan Sharan. They are saying that we are speaking up not just for Haryana, but for wrestlers in the entire country. And the entire country wrestlers are with them. Those who go to national camps are with them in Sonipat, in Lucknow. These are very damning allegations. And these wrestlers, face of which are Bajrang, Vinesh and Sakshi, are ready to sit here every single day till the WFI president is removed.
Okay, Nivedana is joining us as well. Thank you very much, Karishma. Nivedana is joining us as well. Nivedana, so it seems that the protest for the day is over. I do believe that Bajrang Punia had gone to the police station to see if they can protest through the night. That permission has been denied, which means the protest now starts tomorrow morning. These are such embarrassing visuals for the Wrestling Federation, for India, in fact, for the entire Indian sporting community. Nivedana, can I quickly ask you what has been the dalil, what has been the clarification or the logic that is being forwarded by the WFI? I mean, which player, active player, would actually take panga with their own federation? No one would. So what is the logic being given by the WFI on why these protests have broken out now?
Absolutely, Shreya. In fact, that was one thing that the WFI president was also talking about, in the sense that he said that these wrestlers had met him last week and these points were not raised. But the visuals that we did see today of these wrestlers taking to the national capital was quite embarrassing, because remember, these are wrestlers who have represented our country and have brought laurels to the country. So obviously, in a sense, it's not just for the Wrestling Federation, but overall the sports fraternity. It is quite embarrassing to see them voice these opinions against the federation. Now, just talking about the allegations that Vinesh Phogat was also talking about, it's not just sexual allegations that were brought up. In fact, Bajrang Punia spoke about corruption as well. He said that the money that did come in from the sponsors was siphoned off. Also talking about mental harassment, which was extremely heartbreaking to see a wrestler like Vinesh Phogat go out there and say that she contemplated suicide at one point because of the mental harassment. But on the other hand, the WFI president remaining defiant, saying that if there is proof against the federation about these allegations, then he's ready to be hanged if that could be proved. But on the other hand, he also went on to state that why weren't these points raised earlier, because they've had several meetings with the wrestlers as well. So if this was a bone of contention, he also went on to say that new wrestlers are coming up in the industry, and at some point he was saying that it was a conspiracy also being leveled against him.
Okay, Nivedana, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. This was Nivedana and Karishma, our reporters, tracking the story there at Jantar Mantar, a story which is far from over. Sanjay Jha is an author, has written extensively on cricket, is joining us on the broadcast because, well, if you write on cricket, you're interested in sport, and I think everyone in this country has a view when it comes to what's happening in the world of sport, especially given something as shocking that has come out today. Vishal Uppal is a former tennis player. He's joining us on the broadcast as well. Hi, Vishal. And Ranjit Bajaj is someone who's critical to this conversation because he's someone who has led the Supreme Court appointed committee that managed the All India Football Federation. In fact, he's the one who has highlighted similar cases in the under-17 women's football team. He was asked to investigate that. So while we are talking about wrestling today, there is something terribly wrong with our sports federations as we talk. Sanjay Jha, can I start with you and ask you just how shocked you were when you saw India's Olympians, and these are some of our top superstars, sports superstars, sit out on the roads in Delhi in protest? I mean, I can't think of the last time I saw pictures like this.
Yeah, Shreya, let me tell you, I just hang my head in shame. I mean, there is one of your best athletes. If she's compelled to go on camera and say, I contemplated suicide on account of the aggressive harassment, I mean, that's a manifestation of pathetic. It's not just pedestrian, it's absolutely disgusting the kind of administration we have in our sports. And I'm just appalled that the gentleman concerned said, hey, give me evidence, where is somebody who's going to come up and prove that I was guilty of sexual harassment. I mean, this is the brazenness of the Indian political parties and its leaders. And this is, I'm going to be agnostic and bipartisan here. It's really sickening, Shreya. And I can tell you, I've been a sports person at a very local club level. I very passionately follow sports every day, actually. And I can tell you that is, no sports person. I mean, the visuals on your television screen, none of them would go public and make these allegations if they were not genuine. To expect them to actually take this extreme step, where trust me, I mean, they come under a public spotlight for an extremely negative reason. Who would subject themselves to such a scrutiny? Clearly, they have been pushed to the brink. And I think, to my mind, it's absolutely shocking, Shreya, that in a country where, you and I debate so often on your program on multiple issues of governance, politics, economy, growth, that you have young, these are the young of the future, right? This is the demographic dividend story. If we heard this story, for example, happening in the UK and the US, two countries where we are compared very often as democracies, we would say, look at the state of Biden, look at the kind of governor or the leadership of Sunak or Johnson. But look at what we are. I mean, today, for example, they are begging for an audience with the Prime Minister or the Home Minister. To my mind, whether it's Mr. Modi or Mr. Shah, they're not gods. It's your duty, for heaven's sake, to go and sort this out. I mean, the way we lionize our politicians as if they are reincarnations of some lord, this needs to stop. If I was the Prime Minister of this country, I would have responded by now to this. Either I would have sacked that man, or I would have definitely connected with these sports people. You don't need to, ruminate on it and have discussions in committees and appoint an interlocutor. You got two very good people, Ranjit and Vishal. I would love to hear them, but I want to apologize as being part of a political ecosystem. It makes me hang my head in shame. I'm sorry.
And Vishal, we are having this conversation at a point of time when the BJP government has said publicly that it will bid for the Olympics in the future. So here are your Olympians sitting on the streets of the national capital saying they are being harassed, saying they are being exploited. Women are coming out and saying we are being sexually exploited, saying there is corruption, money due to us doesn't reach us. We are being pushed to the brink of suicide. We will not play till the guy is sacked. And yet there is complete silence from the establishment.
Yeah, Shreya, I think, this is definitely a very serious matter for athletes of this magnitude, of this stature, to come out and openly criticize their president is quite a serious matter. And I think what they have to say must be heard in all honesty, and the appropriate action must be taken. If found guilty, people need to be punished. People need to be removed from the particular post. But, I think it's very sad that if big athletes like this are going through this, I can only sit and imagine what the younger lot must have gone through or must be going through. So it's a very unfortunate, events that are happening in wrestling in India. And I just hope that the powers that be take this matter up very seriously and address it with utmost urgency and resolve this.
Ranjit Bajaj, what is very clear to me is that there is a big problem with the way Indian sport is run. The federations are led by politicians. Is it about that? The fact that you have federations that are being led by politicians for years on end. For example, Brijbhushan Sharan has been running the Wrestling Federation for the last 10 years. They have no qualification to run that federation, yet they're there. Well, because they are politicians, so what if they don't have qualifications? Is this a fight between professionals and political interference? Because, the players are, it is exactly what the players are implying. Though Brijbhushan himself is saying that, look, I changed the rules and the players didn't like the rules, therefore they are out there sitting protesting against us and making all sorts of wild allegations. What do you take away from this? I'm asking you this question because you are someone who has looked very closely into allegations like this in the Footballing Federation.
Thank you so much for having me, ma'am. And thank you so much for Mirror Now for especially doing this program and putting some light on it, because everyone else seems to be mum. Everyone else seems to be quiet. And this is a time where we need to be standing up and supporting these brave. And, you know, along with me totally agreeing with Sanjay sir when he says that we should hang our heads in shame. But I salute these three brave sportsmen and sportswomen who've come out and spoken, because I agree again, if this is not true, nobody comes out and says these kind of things, especially a woman who has everything to lose, and especially someone who's already achieved what they had to. That means it's not that Bajrang Punia will get more famous if he wins another medal, or Vinesh Phogat or Sakshi Malik. They've done it. They've achieved it. So if they just kept quiet about it, they would have had a great life without any controversy. Them coming out and being the spokespeople for all us, not only, see, this is not a wrestling problem. Like you very nicely pointed out, thank you so much. This has been happening in football. It's been happening in every sport. And we need strict, urgent action. Because see, it's just not a thing of sexual harassment or players being troubled. It's about generations. Which father will send his daughter to wrestling ever again? Which father will ever send his daughter to a football training camp when they know even at the national or international level these kind of things are happening? So you've got to see how you treat sports people of this generation directly affects how many people will actually take this up, or parents will let them take this up as a profession. Because this is not a profession where you go and achieve so much for the country, blood, sweat, tears, and in the end, instead of giving kudos, your own wrestling federation president is sexually harassing and molesting you and then asking for proof as if he's the investigating authority. A woman coming out and saying that is good enough proof for even registering an FIR, by the way.
Which prompts me to my next question. I'm assuming that these, they're not registering an FIR right now. This was a protest. There was a big press conference. So to some degree, it was orchestrated to get media attention, and it has. But now that it has, and it has been getting media attention since 4 o'clock when those sports persons, our Olympians, really started speaking, I would have imagined some sort of reaction coming in from the sports ministry, if no one else. All we know is that the Haryana chief minister is meeting JP Nadda. So there is something happening there, but beyond that, nothing. Sanjay Jha, is this how we'll bid for the Olympics? We are a young sporting nation. And, Ranjit is absolutely right. There are parents across Haryana, across Punjab, across Uttar Pradesh, across Himachal, across the south, who are seeing this story, who are seeing people like Sakshi Malik, who are seeing people like Vinesh Phogat, who are seeing people like Bajrang Punia and saying, oh my God, is this what happens in sporting camps? Because if this is what happens in sporting camps, I'm not sending my kid there. I'm not sending my daughter there. This is such a huge setback at multiple levels.
Shreya, absolutely right. And I think both Ranjit and Vishal have made very pertinent points here. I mean, we have developed a tolerance for practically all the pathetic ills that we are subjected to. It's about time. And I'm glad. You see, what can these athletes do? The only way they can amplify their messaging is through the media. So you can imagine as to the kind of desperation, or how frantic they are, or how frustrating this must be. Pause for a moment, Shreya, and just think that I can tell you none of these women, none of these exceptional women, and the gentlemen there who have performed for us would have probably been sleeping well for the last couple of weeks and months. I mean, this is like a cruel, diabolical infliction of serious torture. This is crime. This is nothing short of that. And I just want to make one point here. Politicians across the board, they don't respect our sports people. I will tell you that. They don't understand what it takes to win a tournament, whether it's a doubles in Wimbledon, or whether it's to win a wrestling gold in a Commonwealth or an Olympics, or for that matter, how to really play a team game of hockey and win an Asian championship. I don't think they care. You will find all politicians sending messages of congratulations when some event happens. There are photo ops with the Prime Minister and other political luminaries. Do they really respect our sports people? you just think about it for a moment. I have daughters, and I've had one of them who's been a pretty serious sports person before she gave it up. And one of the reasons why I think all fathers today will be worried and will be deeply apprehensive is if tomorrow, if their children were to travel and, perform in sports, whether it's through government or even if it's private, they will wonder what kind of monsters do they deal with. This is monstrous. This is disgusting. And I think, Shreya, congratulations to you for bringing it up. And I'm glad this is a nuanced debate. We are not making any political points, but I think our system stinks. And it's about time we did something about it.
What is it that we do? Vishal Uppal, is it time for us to say that all right, enough is enough, and that you can't have politicians heading sport bodies? Absolutely not. Why should a politician be heading a sports federation for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years without any qualification? But again, let me make the other point. There is another point to the debate. Haryana Sports Minister Sandeep Singh is India's former vice captain, hockey vice captain. And the fact is that even he has been accused of sexual assault, of sexual harassment by a young sportster. So I'm wondering.
So, Shreya, there are 2 points I'd like to make. One, I'd like to disagree a little bit with Sanjay, where he says we hang our heads in shame today. Sanjay, it's time we stopped hanging our heads in shame and did something about it. It's been going on too long that every time something happens, we just hang our head in shame. We have one news debate and that's the end of that. There has to be something concrete, something more substantial, and the sporting community has to stand together and make sure that the wrongs are done right in this country. And as to answer your question, Shreya, I don't think whether it's a politician or it's someone else, we need to have people who are competent enough and have a vision for how they're going to take that respective sport up to greater, newer heights. I think they're the people who need to be running sport. It doesn't matter if it's a politician, a businessman, an athlete. Like you said, an athlete, messed up in Haryana, being in a position of political power, so as to speak. So I don't think it has to be, determined by what your profession is. I think it should be determined, are you competent enough? Do you have a vision for the sport? There has to be some structure. And of course, who is your, who are your so-called advisors? You have to have people who have in-depth knowledge of that particular sport when they're advising you, so that sensible decisions, forward-thinking decisions can be taken. I mean, it's quite ridiculous that such athletes like Bajrang and Sakshi and Vinesh have to come out and openly beg to be heard. I mean, that's pretty much unheard of in Indian sport. Such big athletes coming out.
Unprecedented. And speaking of Bajrang Punia, I do believe he's speaking to the press right now. Gentlemen, give me a minute here. I'm going to go across to him.
जो बात बोली है मीडिया के सामने तो वो बहुत बड़ी बात है और कोई अपनी इज्जत के साथ नहीं खेलता कोई अपनी इज्जत के साथ नहीं खेलता उनके साथ कुछ घटित हुआ इसलिए उन्होंने बोला है और चलो ये बात है तो आगे भाई जो लड़कियां हैं वो बताएंगे कि भाई हमारे साथ हुआ है
वो कहते हैं कि नाम लीजिए वो कहते हैं कि कोई भी देखिए ले लीजिए कहते हैं वो ऐसा बोल रहे हैं
देखिए जो सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट के
देखिए
उस पे मामला दर्ज कराएंगे क्या
देखिए आप बोलने का मौका देंगे तभी तो बोलेंगे ना पर जो चीजें हैं वो नाम हम सामने इसलिए नहीं लेना चाहते आपके क्योंकि हमारी खुद की भी रिस्पेक्ट है इज्जत है क्योंकि एक लड़की की अगर इज्जत ही नहीं रहेगी तो फिर क्या फायदा समाज में जीने का
तो फांसी पे लटक जाऊंगा
चलो वो चीजें अगर लड़कियों ने बताई है तो वो आपके सामने भी आएंगी वो चीजें उस चीज का वो नहीं है
पर फेयर इन्वेस्टिगेशन तभी होगा जब वो हटे अपने पद से
बिल्कुल देखिए जब हम चाहते हैं कि जो निष्पक्ष है वो फैसला हो और जो खिलाड़ी जो आज मेंटली हरासमेंट हो रही है जिनके साथ वो ना हो आप ये चीज देखिए आप बड़ी स्टेज पे आप खिलाड़ी को थप्पड़ मारते हैं किसने हक दिया है अगर आप गाली दे रहे हैं माइक में अगर मैं ऐसे कर दूंगा हरियाणा के लिए तो वो कैसे बोल रहे हैं कि हमने आज तक कुछ नहीं किया वो चीजें हमारे पास वीडियो भी हैं आप कोचिज को गाली दे रहे हैं कोचिज का काम भी खुद कर रहे हैं और रेफरी का काम भी खुद कर रहे हैं और प्रेसिडेंट तो हैं ही तो सब कुछ अपने आप ही कर रहे हैं, फिर दूसरों की क्या जरूरत, आप ही करवा लो बैठ के।
बजरंग, आप कह रहे हैं कि आप लोग के पास वीडियो भी है जहां ये असॉल्ट हुए हैं या जिस तरीके से बदसलूकी हुई है?
आज वो जो थप्पड़ वाला वीडियो है वो ट्रेंड कर रहा है, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा ट्विटर पे दोबारा से चल रहा है। और जो गाड़ी का वीडियो है वो अगर आप बोलोगे तो वो वीडियो अभी ये हमारे पास भी है, वो चीज हम अब भी दिखा सकते हैं।
मतलब और खुलासे आप करेंगे ये साबित करने के लिए?
जी बिल्कुल करेंगे।
All the players have come armed with some sort of video evidence that will need to be submitted, of course, to the police and to a court of law before a court of law can decide whether the WFI president Brijbhushan Sharan, a BJP MP, is actually guilty of sexual assault and corruption and harassment, etc., etc. But the man on your screens, the one who's still on your screen speaking to the press this evening, and someone who will continue to be on the streets tomorrow as well, ladies and gentlemen, is an Olympic medalist. He won the bronze for India in Tokyo. In fact, Bajrang Punia is someone, in fact, he's the only Indian wrestler to win 4 medals in the World Wrestling Championship. He hails from Haryana. That's the guy who's coming out and leveling these allegations. Another Olympian, Sakshi Malik, coming out to level those allegations. Vinesh Phogat coming out to level those allegations. These are India's heroes. These are India's Olympians. These are Indians who make us proud on every sporting stage. We need to listen to them, not just us, the system, the Prime Minister, the Sports Ministry. They need to listen to what these guys are saying. They need, more importantly, to act on it. Because no one will risk their lives, their careers, and their reputations to come out and make allegations like the allegations that have been made today. Some stunning allegations. What a royal shame this is for Indian sport. To all my guests, thank you very much. I'm stepping into a quick break on the show. More news on the other side. Do stay with us.